Say hi, Bernie.
Hi everyone, I'm Bernie.
Well, what's up, friends and family? How are you doing? So I went ahead and I decided to do the right thing. And I believe I subtracted about 3 to maybe 4 years off of my appearance. I shaved my face, if you're wondering what I'm even talking about. And today I did something a little different. See, one of my goals that I have for myself this year is to run. And I usually run in the afternoon when I'm done with work or with all my tasks for the day. It's like that last, stress relieving event that I do to just kind of be by myself, be in the wild, nature or on a road, just run. Today I decided to do it a little differently. See, like in the Army, the first thing that we do in the morning, well, I guess the first thing officers do is to have that morning huddle to make sure that we're all aligned and that all of our duties and operations for the day, but whatever. The first thing that we do as a whole, in general, is we PT. We physically train, we work out. So this morning I woke up, I looked at my dog Bernie, who's now sniffing the tripod, maybe it smells, and I was like, let's go for a run. I shouldn't say that too loud because he gets really excited. And we did it this morning. And it was a really weird experience for me because I forget how rejuvenated and energetic you feel, but also drained at the same time. Like physically, I feel tired because I pushed myself to the limits this morning. I didn't even have breakfast. I didn't even drink water. I decided to run. I was sweating because it's really hot and humid where I currently live. But mentally, I feel so alert, and I just feel like the anxieties and stresses are just kind of like melted away. So I feel like going forward, I think on the weekends, that's something I'm gonna try to do. Actually, there's a difference between try and I will. But I really wanna sit here and say, I will do it, but I don't know if I can, right? Because on the weekends, it's your opportunity to rest and recover and to just kind of, you know what I mean, get it all back together, get all the pieces back. But I'm gonna try, I think, because, I don't know, I just feel different today. I feel a lot more calm. So if you think this is energetic, I have some news for you. Anyways, the decision that I made, sorry, I don't like when I leave my pen unclipped. Like, what is it called? Like, out? I like to make sure it's in, because when I was younger, pens back in the day, if you do this and you leave it out for like an hour or two, good luck trying to write something. But I think these days, pens, the mechanism, yes, I'm not educated, I'm sorry. The mechanism, I think it doesn't allow it to dry out as fast. So it's okay, but when you grow up in the 90s, you still get those habits. But anyways, today I decided to go ahead and film another video because I think this is the cadence that I'm gonna do. Whenever the video that I upload reaches 1,000 views, I'm gonna go ahead, film and upload the next one. And I decided that 1,000 is a good number to kind of be a benchmark and to standardize my upload schedule because it gives people the ample amount of time and opportunity to catch up and watch the prior ones. Because you know what it's like, right? When some of those YouTube channels or like news sources, they upload like 1,000 clips or videos a day. It's just hard for you to catch up, and then you get to a point, even if you're a huge fan and passionate about the topic or whatever it is they're presenting, when there's just so much content, you just select and choose what you want to watch, right? And I think one factor that I'm trying to embrace is I want these like video diaries, I guess we can call it, right? Like just imagine I'm at my 1943 typewriter and I'm typing right now, but I'm thinking out loud. So it's a video diary, video journal. I'm imagining that, and what I want to see happen, I'm not saying like this must happen in an authoritarian manner, but what I would love to see happen is for each one to be kind of like a really popular TV series on Netflix. You don't just skip around the episodes. You go in chronological order and you watch 1, 2, 3, all the way to 56, and then the screen asks you, are you still watching? It's like, Netflix, excuse me, just let me do my thing. Let me just eat my popcorn and Ben and Jerry's and let me just watch the rest of my show. I kind of want that, you know what I mean? Because I want to make sure that every video that I make is intentional, purposeful, and it has an outcome at the end. And this is a really long-winded intro. All that to say that in this video, I'm going to be talking about my opinion on motivational content, motivational videos, and why I'm choosing to adjust. Whereas I still want the same outcomes. I want people to walk away feeling like it was relatable, feeling inspired, feeling a sense of urgency to change. Like, I want the same outcomes, but why I'm choosing a different avenue. And by the way, yes, you are right. I do have a script in front of me. And truth be told, I wrote and rewrote this exact script about 4 times, no less. And I still feel like I'm gonna be all over the place today. So if you're okay with that, thank you. And if you're not, I'm sorry. Usually I'm a pretty coherent and articulate storyteller where I have a structured, systematic way of speaking, but there's just a lot I want to talk to you about today. And so that's just the way I'm going with. And before I dive right into talking about like motivational content and self-improvement, I wanted to tell you that recently I completed a career assessment test, or I guess kind of like a, you know, like the Myers-Briggs type indicator test where MBTI, where it kind of shows you like your personality. Well, there's a lot out there that's very similar to careers. And I took one, and it's called a predictive index, and it kind of shows you who you are in the sense of a career sphere. So in the lens of how you are at the workplace, what you're good at, what you're not probably good at, and it's not that it's a weakness, but it's that you prioritize other things, and you should be mindful that when you prioritize these other things, sometimes you put this stuff on the back burner. So you see what I'm saying? There's no such thing as a weakness when it comes to people and their careers. Just some people are more naturally gifted in certain areas. Some people have a burning desire for coding or even accounting and everything. Other people do not. See, when I first took the assessment, he brought me his little tiger. Okay, Bernie, you want to show the world your toy? So this toy is his little tiger one, and we got it for him the weekend that we got him. That when we adopted him, when he was like 7, 8 weeks old. And he's had this toy for so long. And you know what's funny? We got him some of the more sturdy, durable, you know, the marketing on the label literally says durable, extended, bite proof. All of those toys last no longer than 1 day. If you are a dog owner, please let me know if you can relate to this, because you would think that when it says durable, bulletproof, bite proof, you know, nuke proof, you'd be like, all right, I don't think my dog's gonna be able to destroy it. Not the case at all. With Bernie, when we get him like expensive toys, it's dead, ripped up in his belly within a matter of hours. This toy right here costs, what, like $1 from the Dollar Tree, and he's 8 months old now. It's lasted longer than he's been alive. It just goes to show sometimes that a quantitative value of a product or a service does not necessarily mean that it's going to be better. This is very anecdotal, I know, because he's a poodle. And you might be like, what do you even know, Amos? I have a Rottweiler, I have a German Shepherd, I have a rescue named Ted who's literally weighs more than me, who can shred everything. Shout out to David and Sam. Really off track there. But going back on topic, when I got my predictive index results, I wasn't surprised. I think there's, what, like 17, 16, maybe 18 results that you can be... Bernie, don't do that! Sorry, am I still in focus? He's, I don't know, he's like jumping on the tripod. There's about 17, roughly, categories that you are opted into as like a career-minded individual. And I wanted to share with you what I got, because let me know if it makes sense. Some of you have been with me for the longest time, and some of you have only been with me for a month. But from what you've seen so far, let me know. So my career personality is the persuader. And in a very high level executive summary sentence, the persuader is a risk-taking, socially poised, and motivating team leader. If that ain't me, right, like that is so accurate. And I wanted to tell you, like, okay, so here's what else they say about me. A persuader, Amos, is extremely informal, extroverted, outgoing, gets familiar with you as soon as you meet. You feel as if you've known him for 10 years. Where's the lie though? I'm waiting for somebody to lie. Communicates effusively, flexibly, and engagedly. Draws others into the conversation. Almost exclusively focused on people and building relationships with them and teamwork. Now this might be bad depending on how you look at it. Not interested in the details, but rather would come up with the big picture. Connects to other individuals very quickly, very motivated to build and leverage relationships to get the job done. Very collaborative, works almost exclusively with and through others. All right, that's good. But this right here is a one-man show, so it goes to show I'm a little more versatile than what they're suggesting. I do love working on teams. And when I am on teams, I'll be honest, I just naturally like being the leader. So if you've ever been on a team with me before, you kind of saw it, right? Like I'm there to support you if you are the leader and to encourage you, but if you need help, you saw like I was right there to step in and to volunteer, and it's just the way I am. Makes decisions and takes actions. Confident in their own ideas and unimpressed with tradition. This might be good or bad depending on how you look at it. Flexible approach to the book. Often bends the rules and does things their own way if there's a faster way to do it. An innovative, outside of the box thinker who is undaunted by failure. I think that statement right there I can agree upon, and for some individuals, you might be scared to work with me, but just know that whatever line of work I'm involved with, I put all of my heart and passion into it. I make sure that nothing, and I'm serious, that no sense of doubt is on any stakeholder's minds, because when I am involved in a project or on a team, everyone knows my level of commitment. And ambiguity, jeez, he just literally like jumped over the tripod to get onto his little bed I set up over there. I will show you what it looks like. It's really cute. There's no amount of ambiguity that can scare me off or hold me down. Like if you knock me down, I'm gonna get back up and give 3 different avenues to overcome that obstacle. It's just the name of the game. Anyways, that's just, I wanted to share with you, right? This is kind of like a video diary. I thought it was pretty insightful because when I looked at some of the other career personalities, it reaffirmed the assessment's conclusion that I'm a persuader. So I thought it was kind of cool. All that to say, if you've never ever done a self-reflective assessment before to get to know who you are, there's so many for free on Google. I would just search like a personality test or something and try to figure out who you are, because I think I'm diving into the next topic, motivation and self-improvement. When it comes to trying to become better and to improve, right, I think you need to have a baseline and a firm understanding of who you are. Because if you don't know who you are and what makes your heart beat and what makes you move and what makes you jump out of bed in the mornings excited to tackle the day, it's hard, right? You can walk around feeling confused all the time and trying to answer the big question, what is my purpose? But I think if you take these self-reflective assessments and personality tests, you kind of get an understanding of why you think the way you do and why you prioritize the way you do. So I'm going to refer to my script right here because it's just so much that I want to talk about. So in the past, you might have noticed that I used to really enjoy producing content that was about 2 to 3 minutes of just straight up motivation, where I talk to you and I try to light a fire underneath your beep. Yes, I did that with my mouth. I'm weird. And as I've gotten older, I looked at some of my content that I made when I was a freshman in college and what have you, like back in the day, 5-10 years ago. And it kind of got me to think, yes, this type of content might work with certain individuals, but for the most part, I don't think it's as effective as I think in terms of the long run. I think motivational videos that I used to create in the past, I think it's enough to get the ball rolling, right? To feel inspired in the moment that you're listening, hearing, and watching. But the 2 to 3 minute video itself is just not enough substance to invoke permanent or stable change in a person. Does that make sense? Or here, let me so I guess this point right here that I wrote is really important. Like, if a person walks away from one of my videos feeling really inspired and motivated, but then 15 minutes later, or even a day, or even a week later, they go right back into their old habits of being dysfunctional and same routine, how effective was that video really? And that was a big question that I asked to myself. And when I tried to answer it, I realized that I wanted to change my approach in how I address self-improvement and how I talk about motivation. I think motivational videos and quotes and pictures, they're awesome, right? It's cool to have like a daily reminder, or even as your wallpaper, or even as a tattoo on your butt cheek. But I just don't think it's enough. Because when you get down to the core of it, right, I think rather than like the motivational quote or the video itself, I think what's more important is to build that perseverance, the mental fortitude within, to understand your greater purpose and your why. Like, why are you trying to overcome this endeavor, this goal, this obstacle? Like, why are you trying to do it? And then the key traits to really help you to stay the course and to make stable change is discipline, understanding your purpose, and having a sense of commitment to what you said you're going to do. I think those variables are more effective than a 3-minute motivational video or a 1-sentence motivational quote. What do you think? I know I said a lot right now. I want to give you time to kind of like digest what I just said. Do you agree, or do you feel like there is sometimes, it depends on the context? I really agree. That's an MBA answer right there. It depends. Sometimes, depending on the context, a 1-sentence quote is enough to inspire. So I can see both sides of the coin, but let me know what you think. Oh, I forgot this really important part. That's why I have this script. It looks really silly, but it's helping me to stay on track and not to lose my train of thought. What's really important after seeing like this type of video, or after having a one-on-one talk with your friend, or your neighbor, or your manager, or your teacher, or your counselor, well, I think what's really important is the action that takes place after that. I think having that moment to reflect is good, but it's the actions that occur after that are more important. It's one thing to understand why you messed up, But the bigger question is, what are you gonna do about it? Right? Like, I can sit here all day and count my failures and be sad. I can literally think my way into a depression if I go into that mindset. It's terrible. But if you are an individual that truly wants the best for yourself, you ask yourself, so what am I gonna do after this? Right? And with that, to have the consistency and the discipline to do whatever it is you said you were gonna do day in, day out, week after week. Because this is really important. If you really want what's best for you, that segues into what I'm gonna talk about right now. My understanding of self-love and self-care is to treat yourself well. Can we agree upon that, right? To avoid toxic relationships, to avoid scenarios and situations that you know are not good for you, to want what's best for you. Best, not what you want, but what's best for you at the end of the day. There are certain things out there, relationships, careers, whatever it is that you might want, but it might not be the best for you. And I think having that maturity, which it took me a long time to develop into this mindset, to understand what is good for you and what is not. I think most of us can agree, unless you work a night shift hour or you struggle with something where it's like insomnia, that staying up late and going to bed at 4 a.m. by browsing Instagram, Reddit, Facebook, and whatever for 5 to 6 hours, can we all agree that that's probably not the best for us? But getting a good night's rest is probably the best choice if we're able to do it. I understand not everyone is able to, but you see where I'm trying to get at, right? To have that mental maturity to discern the difference between what is best for you and what you want to do in the moment. Sometimes short-term gratification is not always the best. And I really learned this lesson from my time in the army and in the military, where I literally had to earn everything. Nothing was given to us. You start at a blank zero, like when you go through your basic training and everything, you're the same as everyone. You get your head shaven, you get screamed at, you're put through the exact same development. And you go through the warrior forge to become a soldier, a cadet, a sailor, an airman. When you go through that process, you quickly learn that some of the things in life that you used to take for granted taste so much sweeter when you have it eventually. And when you do it sparsely. I'm not saying do it every day, because if I'm talking about, that's a really loud motorcycle. When we're talking about self-love, self-care, I know sometimes we can get it twisted and confuse it with like, if I love myself, I'm gonna treat myself to Ben & Jerry's cookie dough ice cream every single day, 3 times a day. Breakfast, actually Hobbit's second breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 4 times a day. But is that really the best for us? Okay, so that's a point I think that we're all pretty much understanding here. But self-care and self-love, like my definition, tell me what your definition is, because it's awesome to bounce ideas back and forth with other people and to open up your horizon. So if you have another definition, let me know as well. But to me, like self-love, self-care, which is a huge movement that's going around right now, which I'm a huge fan of, because we're bringing to the table how we've been ignoring mental issues in the past, and now we're realizing how important it is to talk and to recognize and to seek help if you're dealing with anxiety, with depression, and all sorts of other stuff. So I love it, because we're finally putting the spotlight on something that's been always told, like, oh, you just need to sleep it off. Oh, you just need to get tougher. Oh, stop crying about it. Like, I'm glad like that type of language and that type of mentality is disappearing from our society. But to me, like self-love, self-care is to challenge yourself, right? To really challenge yourself. I'm not saying like, maybe I'll do it, but really digging deep and figuring out why you want to do it. But to challenge yourself to reach your health goals, your academic goals, your spouse goals, your career goals, and etc. The goals that you have for yourself, and to seek after it and to do what's best for you. And I want to make sure that the camera is still filming. And I forgot one point that I wrote down here. If you're having difficulty trying to figure out if something is good for you or if it's not the best thing for you, just ask yourself, is it doing more harm than good? Like, I'll be honest, there was a phase that I went through in 2018 where I just had junk food every day. And I'm not gonna sit here and try to judge people because I love my McDonald's. I love my ice cream. I love my sweets, all right? But there was a point in time where I don't know how he jumps over the tripod. Like, that's really impressive for a tiny little poodle. Bernie, watch out for him at the Olympics, all right, 2024. But to get back on track, there was a point where I was just having junk food every day, right? And I wasn't taking care of myself, if we're gonna be honest. So when I think about it like that, right, in a self-love, self-care perspective, I was doing more harm than good, right? It's easy for us to misinterpret what self-love really means by saying, I'll do what I want if that's what I want right now. Like to eat ice cream every day, or to go into that relationship that you know is not good for you, or to go into the career field or to the workplace where you know you're not appreciated. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's just not the best for us. I don't want to get preachy here, but it's just, based on my experience. I noticed that my tone was changing right there, and I had to nip it in the bud and make sure I don't. That time he almost knocked the camera over, but he bumped into the tripod. So I guess the point I'm trying to get at is, when I am trying to embark upon a journey of like self-care and self-love, right, I enter into a state of mind, like my perspective and the way I think about everything just changes. And it all centers around this notion of feeling so frustrated with how things have been for me. And through that, to develop a sense of urgency and a desire to transform, because you don't want what's been happening so far. So to go back into 2018, I think as I was near the end of the road from my journey of doing ministry work, Bernie, you don't wanna bump the tripod like that. You want me to, Papa okay, you want Papa to hold you? Okay. As I was going towards the end of the road for my ministry journey of shepherding people, counseling and mentoring individuals day in and day out, the burnout was real. And once I decided to take a break, that's when I started to do, I got into a bad sleeping habit. I started eating junk food, and I just wasn't taking care of myself. And then one day, I took a good, long look at myself in the mirror, not because I'm conceited, but because I was asking myself the question, like, what are you doing? Like, Amos, like, what are you doing? You have so much potential ahead of you. You are meant to do so much more than what you're doing right now. And I think that was a really big wake-up call for me, because I got really frustrated with myself, saying, I know I can do better. Why am I doing this? And I think is what allowed me to pivot on to the next chapter in my book of life. Because had I not gotten into that framework, who knows? I might have still been mistreating myself every day and saying, you know what, I earned this rest. You did good work. you're burned out from having compassion fatigue, go ahead and have all this junk food. But in the long run, I mean, for like a day, I guess it's not so bad. But when you're doing it every day and every day turns into months, it's just not the best. And so I think that sense of frustration is what compelled me that I needed to have change happen. And it happened pretty quick as I rolled into 2019. I feel different, I think different, even the way I interact with people is different now. Instead of coming into interactions thinking, okay, how can I serve you? How can I help you? These days, when I talk to people, I just think of people as a friend, a neighbor, and I'm just like, hey, how's it going? Me, I just got done running. Like this morning, I just told you, like, I just got done running. I'm not here to like preach at you or to tell you recommendations right off the bat. Like if you need me to go into that mode, I'll do it. If you need a shoulder to cry on, I'll do it. Like I always want to be remembered, like on my deathbed, my tombstone, I just want to be remembered as the guy that tried to do the right thing and that was always there for people. That would be awesome. But I think what's more important to me is for people to recognize me as an equal, as like a friend peer to peer, rather than assuming the posture of the shepherd, of the counselor, the mentor, if you know what I'm trying to get at, all the time. I think outside of the context of ministry, it would not be bad because there's boundaries that protect you. But I think in ministry, if you've ever worked in, I don't know if this counts, but in some categories of nonprofit or ministry work, you would know that the boundaries are just kind of like non-existent. All discussions, all requests, your cell phone is kind of like on 24/7. It's a different kind of commitment. And I don't want to sound negative because I'm thinking about, I haven't edited the video yet, but I'm thinking, I might sound really negative, but I want to tell you that I do enjoy. He's trying to get his toy underneath the couch. I'll get it for him. Give me a second. I will say it straight up. I myself enjoy motivational content because I love the feeling that it gives me, right? Leaving me inspired to do better. Like if I know I'm being lazy and I'm not living up to my full potential, to kind of like spiritually slap me in the face and say, wake up, put on a little bit of makeup. You know that song? It's like a really old metal song from like the early 2000s. By the way, I went through, in middle school, I went through like an emo phase. You know, growing up listening to like Simple Plan, Newfound Glory, a few other bands like that. That was an interesting time in my life. Did you go through that phase? I feel like a lot of the people that grew up in the late 80s or even 90s, we went through that phase, the emo phase, which is kind of like non-existent now. But it's a trend back in the day where it stands for like emotional music, and it's singers that are angry at their dads or talking about frustrations of living up to like society's expectations and etc. I was a part of that movement. Looking back, that's kind of interesting. Very out there. I guess, okay, so this is really important. So the point I'm trying to get at is, obviously, self-improvement is more about the self, having the mental fortitude to push yourself day in and day out through discipline, right, through commitment. But with that said, it's really key to understand that with self-improvement, there's a fine line, right? There's a balance that you want to achieve. You know, when you think about an art versus a science, right? A science, there's a systematic way of coming to the conclusion that's correct on an objective way. With an art, it's kind of like a dance. It's kind of like it depends on the individual. It depends on a very circumstantial situation and the variables that are associated with it. And when we talk about self-improvement, There's a balance that you want to achieve on both ends of the extremes. There's laziness and there's obsession. You don't want to go into the territory of obsession, because I will tell you a story about myself. Something that I struggled with for many years as a teenager and everything, right? When you're a teenager, you have all those hormones and insecurities of trying to fit in, right? Like high school, I consider it to be a great social experiment where you learn to interact with peers, where you try to learn how to define who you are, what you want to do, achieve, etc. It's a, can I blend in? Do I want to stand out because I choose to be different, etc. High school for me, for the most part, was enjoyable. But where I struggled was I had a lot of body insecurities, right? I'll never forget it. If you went to high school with me, you would remember me as the funny guy, the likable guy, the one that was friends with almost everyone. But deep down inside, something really hurt. I remember one of my friends, female friends, she looked at my body figure and was like, "You have such a nice body. I wish I had your body." And I know she meant it with good intent, but when you're like 13 years old, and as a boy who's trying to emulate his role models growing up, from WWE, The Rock, for instance, I really like The Rock. To hear that I had a really nice feminine figure that was slim, with my waist being small and my hips, you see what I'm trying to get at? It led to my obsession with working out and bodybuilding and going to the gym all the time. And I denied it for the longest time. I said, it's not body dysmorphia. You alright, buddy? Oh yeah, he's okay. But when I started to learn more about it, 100% I had body dysmorphia. Even when I had like a 6-pack or an 8-pack, I kept saying I'm fat. Even when I was chiseled, I said I'm too skinny. And it just wasn't good because I was obsessed with working out to be muscular. These days, I don't struggle with it as much now that I'm almost 30. But there are moments when it does come back. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, because self-improvement is an art, it's really helpful that when you are on a journey to accomplish the goals that you set for yourself, to make sure that they are realistic, attainable, and measurable. Because if they're too far out there, or if it's too easy, where is the development in that? Where is the perseverance in that? Where is the failures in that? And if it's something that's too far-fetched, it's gonna seem unattainable to the point where you're just gonna want to give up. And I know this quote might not resonate with you the way it does with me, but a quote that really helps me out is, don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done. Now you want to take that with a grain of salt, because that can lead to the road of obsession and unhealthy habits. But sometimes when you have a project timeline, when you have to write a paper, when you have to do this or an errand, sometimes just doing one more paragraph, 15 more minutes, one more of whatever, sometimes it's enough to finish it, and then you can fully rest. So I guess I wrote here, at the core of it all, self-improvement is all about becoming better than you were last year with attainable outcomes plus dreaming big. I guess I wanted to explain myself right there because I remember like 5 seconds ago I was like, hey, don't make sure it's not too far out there. Yes and no. You want to make sure that you dream big so that you always have a goal that you're running towards. But nothing that's too out there in the sense like, for me, I'm barely 6 foot tall. I'm almost 30. For me to be like, I'm gonna go to the NBA, I'm gonna be a famous basketball player. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of out there. I'm not even good at basketball. I can barely shoot the ball into the hoop, right? Like, that's what I mean. I think we get it. You and I think we're both here. So I guess to sum it up, with self-improvement and these videos, I'm hoping whoever you are, every individual will take something away from each video. Maybe it's not the self-improvement part. Maybe it's the self-reflective personality assessment part or the running part. Through my videos, I just want to make sure that everyone feels that sense of connection with me and you and you and me. So I guess to sum it up, when it comes to self-improvement, it's good to know that all of us, we are all a work in progress. Nobody is perfect. I only know one person who's perfect, but nobody besides him is perfect. We are all a work in progress. And coming to a state of mind and being humble enough to admit it is the first step, and it's almost always the hardest step. Admitting that, yeah, I need to do better, be better, to change. Sometimes that can be the hardest. And this is really cool, because if we can come to the agreement that we're all a work in progress, then there's something that we share in common. Everyone has a common purpose, right? Along with this, you might have another purpose that's career-oriented, family-oriented, personal-oriented. But one common purpose that we share outside of that sphere is the mentality of striving to be and do better. You know, like when you think in the context of like work, school, or relationships, there's always room for improvement. Maybe you struggle with public speaking, or making friends, or writing papers, or networking. Whatever it is, right? There's something that all of us need a little help on. And coming to that conclusion is a big first step. So it's cool, right? If you don't know what you got to be doing in life, there's one purpose you have, along with other ones. By the way, one thing that I always say is you don't find your purpose. When we're talking about careers, personal relationships, growth, your purpose finds you. That's for a video for another day. Let me know if you want to hear that one, because I have a lot to say. But one small common purpose that everyone shares is the necessity to be better, because we need to be better. But if you don't feel that, then I guess you're fine with just being who you are, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think life is more of an adventure when you have that desire to change because you want to be better and to improve the lives of those that are around you and your life, most importantly. And in a tangible way, because I hate when people are like, oh, do better, or, you know, be happier, without any like tangible example. So in a tangible way, I guess maybe one way that you can improve, that I can improve, is to be more kind, right? To be more patient, to not interject when someone else is talking, to learn how to listen, right? So to be kind, to try and understand the world that is around us, instead of having very stern views on issues and matters, to be a little more open-minded to hear the other side, or to take care of your one given body by watching what you eat, watching what you put into your body, right? Drugs, I'm talking about drugs, working out, etc. To be the helping hand to a neighbor, friend, or to a colleague. Those are some tangible examples. So I guess I want to really wrap it up this time by disclosing what I'm working on for 2020, and it might bleed into 2021. So I have a bunch of goals, right, that are like professional and personal and career oriented, but I wanted to share with you, three goals that I'm kind of working on that I feel comfortable sharing with you, because as friends, you gotta open up a little here and there, right? You can't really be friends if you're not sharing anything. So the first goal that I have is to be a better friend. I think I've never had the difficulty of making friends in my life. No matter where I've been, I've always naturally been able to have friends, and a lot of them. But I think this year, what I want to focus on is, I don't mind making more friends and new friends, but I want to focus on being a good and better friend to the existing relationships that are in my circle. Now, there is such a thing as people that are low maintenance, where you only need to call them once a year and you can hit it back off as if you've never missed a beat. But I'm talking about, for the most part, a lot of people are high maintenance, where you should be asking like, hey, how's your day going? Hey, I know your birthday's coming up. You want to do something? Do you have plans? I just want to be a better friend. Number two is, this is really embarrassing, but I want to be able to run 2 miles in under 15 minutes. I'm not there. I'm not even close. That's a work in progress. I might go ahead and make a separate video about why I'm choosing to run. If you're interested, let me know. If you're not interested, I'll probably make it anyways, but it's coming. Number 3 is to eat less junk food. I don't ever want to repeat what happened in 2018. I want to be clean, and I want to be good because I love myself. I want to be careful. Those are my 3 goals. I want to hear some of yours. What's a goal that you have that you've been struggling with, or what's a goal that you've accomplished recently or even in the past year or so? So I want to congratulate you, because I know what it feels like to hit a goal, a milestone, and to have no celebration. And it doesn't really feel good. But if I can play my part and say like, hey, good work, good job, high five, it's coming your way. Let me know. And if you don't have a goal, this is my challenge for you for the remainder of 2020. Today is what? August 28th. It's a Friday. It's 2:45. I challenge you to think of a goal that you want to accomplish before the year is over. It can be anything. But for the purposes of this video, since I'm talking about self-improvement, maybe think of a self-improvement goal that you have. And if you're comfortable, share it with me in the comments section. And I'm gonna try my best to remember the goal to the username and keep me posted in future videos. Say, hey, this is week 6 of me trying this. And I will encourage you. And if you're struggling, I will encourage you even more. So I don't know, accountability buddy here. Yeah, I feel like this is a really long video, but I think it was a good one. I feel pretty good about it. I did not edit it yet, but I got a lot of things off my chest that I wanted to talk to you about. So, hey, hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you really soon. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram. It's Amos Adapts. And I'll see you.
Hi! Hello, Bernie! Are you sleepy? Are you sleepy? Oh, baby!